Today my guest is Wally McClure. Wally, how are you, sir?
Hey man, how's it going?
It's doing great. How do you like this conference, Mad Expo?
So it's pretty cool. They have a great facility here.
Oh, it's amazing.
Amazingly unbelievable.
They need to get more people in here.
Yes. Well, it's right before July 4th. So,
yeah, that's a factor.
Now,
we were lucky. We got the executive conference room here.
Exactly.
Well, we were in the executive conference. They moved into this closet after the closet.
Exactly.
You gave a talk this morning on Monotouch, right?
So that's actually tomorrow, but
was this morning? This morning was Azure.
Yes.
Was there anything you don't do?
There's probably a lot. Yeah, there's lots of things I don't do, but as far as in the technology world, I think I'm involved in lots of different pieces, from architecture to database to Ajax to now mobile.
You spent a lot of time in the mobile space recently, right?
Recently, yes, the last 2+ years.
Yeah, in fact, you had a recent, you released a book on Monotouch, was it?
Yes, Monotouch book came out last July, so right about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And the sales of that have been pretty good. I know that Rox has been very excited about the sales of that, and so we've also been doing Mono for Android development as well.
So you're targeting, and you're doing development on multiple platforms.
Yes.
How's that working out?
So, conceptually, a lot of the stuff does work across platforms. Uh-huh. So that, you can take business logic, you could take objects, you could take, things that are not device specific. So, user interface, acceleration, accelerometers, those cameras, those things are device specific.
Yep.
But things that are not device specific do actually seem to run across those various platforms fairly easily.
So you're sharing code. You're running the same application. Multiple platforms, sharing code between them.
I don't want to sell it as it's the same application, across multiple platforms, but it's definitely a lot of the same pieces from them. For example, I've got one of my chapters from our Monotouch book. I literally did a copy and paste, plugged that exact same code into Visual Studio, wired up some user interface event handlers, mm-hmm. and bang, it all worked first shot. And this was all database stuff. It was calling out to web services over REST, calling out to web services over to WCF-based web services mm-hmm. over SOAP. JSON processing, exactly 100% the same. XML, 100% the same way. So, there is a lot of code that will run across those platforms.
That's encouraging for those of us who are sort of intimidated by the number of platforms out there.
Hey, I look at it this way. If I, Wally McClure, can figure out how to be on iPhone and Android, it must be simple. I actually have a video where I have a character who says, if Wally can figure it out, it's just got to be stupid simple.
I'll let the viewers decide.
So, fair enough. Fair enough.
You're doing everything in .NET.
Exactly.
And I heard you mention Apple, the iPhone platform. I heard you mention Android.
Yes.
Which is typically a Java platform. But Microsoft has a phone platform as well. I didn't hear you mention that. Are you not doing any Windows Phone 7 stuff?
Well, right now it's an issue about how much time do I have in my life.
Uh-huh.
And I'm working on the platforms that have the most volume. Okay. And when I talk to customers, it's right now they want to talk about iPhone, they want to talk about Android, mm-hmm. and then they will talk about other. But I sat in too many meetings where those are the two platforms that come up, and really right now they want to talk about iPhone and iPad, and then they'll also talk about Android. But that's kind of your 2 or 3 platforms.
Okay, so you're saying that Apple seems to be number one not only in market share but in your customers.
With the customers that I talk to, yes.
Okay, but you're not doing development in Objective-C. You're not doing it in Java. You're doing it in .NET using the Monotouch, the Monodroid.
Exactly. You use Monotouch, which is okay. So let me back up. As much as we as .NET developers despise having a Mac, let's just admit it. We are hardcore. We are hardcore.
My son keeps telling me that I hate Apple. I do not hate Apple.
Well, you probably don't have several of them running around your house.
I do, as a matter of fact.
Oh, you do?
They weren't bought by me, but...
Okay. I've purchased enough Apple products over the last about 36 months, from all my family. Anyway, So to do monotouch iPhone development, you have to have a Mac because you're going to compile against the Apple SDK for iOS, and that only runs on the Mac. So you got to have Mac OS running. So you got to have a Mac. Then you're going to have to, for an IDE, you're most likely going to use MonoDevelop. MonoDevelop is, if you're familiar with, there's an open source IDE for .NET called Sharp Developer.
Okay.
And MonoDevelop was an early port of that to Linux, and they've kind of diverged, but you can see the similarities in them. Then you've got Mono as the framework running underneath you, so you install all those items: the Apple SDK, MonoDevelop, MonoTouch, Mono framework, and then you're up and running on your Mac. So that allows you to go. You test against the emulator. Then you have to join the Apple Developer Program, and then that allows you to test on an actual physical device.
Okay. And you've taken this route rather than going with Objective-C. Is that just because you're familiar with .NET?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of reasons. I literally sat down because it all goes back to there were two decision points that I hit in my mobile career. I mean, I've always been interested in new and different and cool and all that. Okay, I may be 44 years old now, but I still want to be trying to be cool. Maybe I'm kind of like the old guy with the wrong jeans on.
Don't even play that old man card with me.
So okay, well, but there were two fundamental decision points that I hit. One was we were doing work for a company. This was about 3 or 4 years ago, and doing some focus groups, and literally I was told. And this girl pulls out her phone and says, "I want to do this, blah 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 blah, on my phone, and I just want to hit this button here." And I was like, that's a really powerful statement to me, in that to her, because it was a long story, but there was this question in the startup: should they be involved in web and Ajax and blah blah blah, or should they be doing mobile? And even though at the time I was all involved in Ajax, I was like, you have a mobile application here. It's what the users want, blah, blah, blah. You need to be in that mobile world. So when that girl pulled out her phone and said, "This is what I want," I mean, that was very powerful to me. And, it said, users are mobile. Users don't want to drag laptops around. They don't want to be chained to a desk.
Mm-hmm. And they still want to be connected. And
exactly. They want to be connected to their data, but they want to be connected to the exact same data that they have access to from their desktop or their laptop. Now, that was a very powerful statement to me. I mean, that told me cloud was important, and that told me that mobile was important.
Right.
And so if you notice what I've been doing over the last 3 or 4 years, it's been cloud and mobile. Mm-hmm. Then, so that was one issue. Then another decision point I came to was, this was about 2.5 years ago. I was talking with someone, I was showing some stuff that I had done in Windows Azure. And one of the pieces of feedback from him was, you really need to be mobile on this, because this is a mobile application, what you're talking about here. And, when I say mobile, I mean iPhone mobile. Because, I don't know about you, when I had seen the iPhone ship, I kind of laughed at it, because, what are these people standing outside these stores for?
Part of it I did laugh.
I was like, well, one, it's a powerful marketing statement to everybody else who sees it. But, I was like, it's just a phone. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal. But anyway, at that point, after having gone through those couple of experiences, I said, I've got to be mobile. I've got to be somewhere on, these mobile devices. And, I started looking at a lot of different stuff. And I actually did start down the Objective-C, route. Mm-hmm. And I got down it, and I was like, what in the world am I doing here?
You weren't comfortable working with Objective-C.
I was not comfortable. It didn't make sense. I didn't grok, really all the pieces that were going on. Uh-huh. And then I remember there was a specific day when the Novell guys, Mono guys, said, "Hey, we're going to have this product called MonoTouch." And I was like, wow, that is where I need to be at.
That is a powerful thing for a .NET developer to be able to take existing skills and apply them to a different platform.
Yes, absolutely. You don't have to go learn a new set of web services calls. You don't have to learn how to go call a REST API. You don't have to learn to go to XML a different way. You don't have to learn to go to JSON a different way. You don't have to learn database access a different way. I mean, all this stuff you don't have to go learn. And, I can apply this. I still have to learn the iPhone-isms or the Android-isms.
Sure.
The specifics of those platforms. I mean, you're not building a WinForms application and somehow running it on iPhone or Android
the paradigm
or whatever.
is different.
It's a completely different way of thinking. Because, in a mobile device, you have a smaller screen. You aren't tethered to power. Network connectivity is not dependable.
Right.
So, you have all these other things to take, to take into account. So, being able to take my existing skill set, my existing knowledge, apply these new things to learn, and that was very powerful to me, and spoke to me.
Yeah, on top of that, there's also the features that you don't even consider in a desktop application.
Oh, yeah.
I almost never think about GPS in a desktop application.
Exactly.
Or that I might have a camera connected to it.
Right.
Or that I might make a phone call.
Yeah.
In the middle of the application. There's a
My
phone number
kids, my children, don't know that you can take a mobile phone and make a phone call with it.
there.
That's a scary thought, I know. But anyway, they want the camera, they want the texting, they want the web stuff.
So you're using MonoTouch, you're using mostly, and you're using MonoDroid when you work in the Android space as well. So Mono recently went through an upheaval. They were attachment cut them free. Those projects also were cut free. I know that Miguel de Icaza formed his own company. But there was a period of uncertainty there. How did that affect you as a developer?
So there was a lot of uncertainty there. And I kind of looked at things and I said, I don't really know what I should do here. I decided to, take a little bit of time, step back, and say, what should I be doing here? But I kept also listening and talking to people out in the community, and talking to people who I deem as important. And what I mean by that is, who are you a mover and shaker? Are you someone who spends a lot of time in the in a specific area? Are you willing to pay money to us? So listening to customers. And I listened to them and I talked to them and I said, hey, what are your thoughts here? And literally the response was, hey, we've read what Miguel has said. We've read what those plans are. We think that MonoTouch, Mono for Android, we think those products still make sense to us. So, we understand there will be some potholes, some speed bumps, in the future. However, we want to continue down that route. Mm-hmm. And, to me, while not everybody said that, there were enough people who did that gave me the confidence to say, okay, I've listened to the marketplace. I'm going to go and I'm going to listen to, what those guys are saying, what's going on, and, I'm going to follow that path. I'm going to keep going down that path.
Yeah, so you didn't really change what you were doing. You thought about it for a while, but
thought about a lot.
I don't think you had been doing.
Yeah, and I don't want to discount. I don't want to discount, the fact that I did do a lot of analysis as to what's going on.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're correct. I decided to, not change. Mm-hmm. Because, while, to be honest, for a .NET developer, a C# developer, learning Java is not necessarily that big of a change.
Right.
Yes, you have to go learn a new IDE. You're going to go learn IntelliJ. You're going to go learn Eclipse. You're going to go learn another IDE. Mm-hmm. But the language itself is not necessarily, I don't want to say it's not a huge change, because anytime you make a change, it can be.
No, the C# didn't get created in a vacuum.
Right,
It
exactly.
Was the creators of C#, they had seen Java.
Exactly.
And they were obviously influenced by it.
Exactly. So, those products, that change is not that big of a deal. Boy, I tell you, going to learn Objective-C, going to learn a lot of those concepts,
painful?
going to learn, those, what's effectively a new framework for you. Do you know I used to be 6'3" and used to have jet black hair? And this is what happened.
Objective-C did that?
I shrunk, and, it all turned white. This is what Objective-C does to people. I
can't argue with that.
So.
Well, it makes sense. So the technology was a period of uncertainty, but I don't think the smartphone market is uncertain at all. It appears to be growing with no one inside of it.
Right. The smartphone market
barely scratched the surface of that.
Right. It is. It's growing from an absolute numbers game, and from a percentage game, it's also growing. So not only, as that marketplace expands, the smartphones themselves are taking up a bigger and bigger percentage within that. Just today, I read where 55% of all devices, all phone-type devices sold, are now fall into that smartphone category. Mm-hmm. And that's the first time that those guys have, reached a majority in the marketplace. Wow. And that's a big deal. And it wasn't like it was 51%.
Nokia hasn't even released their first smartphone yet.
Exactly. They've hit 55% as of today. That was the numbers that were announced. So it wasn't they went from 49 to 51.
It's growing up very
to 55. Rapidly. That's a pretty big percentage jump in of what's effectively one quarter.
And that means there's a huge market for applications.
Exactly.
There's a lot of jobs for application developers.
Exactly. So and it doesn't matter if it's iPhone, which is here today, Android, which is here today, Windows Phone 7, which is not a large percentage of the marketplace today. However, with Nokia coming on board, that percentage is going to go up.
Sure.
It's not going to go down. They've had some fits and starts getting started, but that percentage is headed up. It's going to. So, you've got those platforms. You've got BlackBerry, who's still out there. But BlackBerry seems to be the next one that's not doing so well.
Right.
But still, they're there. They're in the marketplace.
There, and a lot of industries invested in them.
Exactly.
Companies.
And those products are in businesses, and businesses do not change on a dime.
Right.
Coca-Cola is not going to go in to the BlackBerry store and say, I was going to buy one when I came in, but I decided to go buy an Android or an iPhone or a blah 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 blah. They're not doing that.
Give me 45,000 of those.
Yes, exactly.
Actually, I'm working at a large automobile company in Detroit right now.
Are there any there?
This one, I can't. It starts with a G. But
I understand.
That's a lot of good information.
Yeah,
that's a good place to wrap up.
That is a lot of stuff, and there's just tremendous stuff going on. To be honest, I think of the mobile marketplace right now is where web was in mid 90s. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's there, but it's continuing to grow.
Right.
If you want to look at it, you could go back even a few years further. Now I'm going to date myself on this one.
I told you, don't play that game with me.
I could be
1962.
I could be older than you. So.
I just look really young.
So you do. You just graduated.
I'm continually graduating.
You said your brother graduated from Michigan State. Or he's on the your brother's on the basketball
team. Actually, that's my son.
Your brother's on the basketball team, right? So, yeah. But in all seriousness, you go back and you look at things over a few years before web GUI clients. Mm-hmm. You had DOS, you had OS2, you had Windows, you had various GUI types of windowing environments. They were all out there competing, mm-hmm. And it was before Windows became, what was the winner.
Right.
There was a lot of question as to who was going to be the winner at that time.
And then Windows 3.1 came along and then took off.
I think we're at that same kind of area right now. Will we end up with one winner? I don't know.
Doesn't seem likely right now. As fast as the market is growing,
it doesn't
there seems
seem
like there's
likely.
room for multiple vendors.
We don't know though. So that's why I, as a developer, don't want to tie myself to just necessarily one platform.
Yes.
So.
Where can people find out more about Wally McClure?
Okay, so I'm on Twitter, WBM. I'm at WBM on Twitter. You can check out my blog, morewally.com, because you know what everybody needs.
More Wally?
Exactly. Hey, all right. Got T-shirts that say that too. So those are the big places. I just signed up for a Google Plus account.
I've heard about
Isn't
that.
that
Is it like Facebook?
it there's a lot of cool stuff there.
I'll check it out.
We'll see how it works out. As I like to say, there's a lot of cool technologies out there, but the marketplace is the ultimate decider.
And are you going to ever start your podcast up again?
I've just got so much stuff going on. It's not that I've killed it off. It's just, there's just so much other things.
People are
going on
clamoring.
right now.
People out there that literally dozens of viewers on my show.
Exactly. They want it. I'm sure they do. So anyway, the Twitter page, the blog, those are the big places to find me. You can find me on Facebook, but I don't even know what my address is there to get to me. So just go to Facebook and search on me. You can Google me. It tickles when somebody Googles me. So anyway,
well,
thanks a lot, Dave. I appreciate it. Yep. Thank you. I have a lot of friends in technology.
Me too.
Awesome, man.